I'm Manny's back here with another video for investors trading, and today I will be going over their software and how I integrate it into my trading. Right now they do have Cyber Monday, which is one of their biggest sales of the year. You can either get 35% off their monthly essential package or up to 57% off their annual package. Now Benzinga Pro provides Squawk Box, scanners, exclusive market moving news, unusual options activity, and much more. But I'm going to be showing you what I think is really cool about their software and what I use the most. If you do decide that you want to give Benzinga Pro a shot, I will have the link in my description, and make sure you use code GRATEFUL35 at checkout in order to have this promotion applied. One of the very first things that I do when I wake up in the morning, since I am Pacific time, is I open up Benzinga Pro. This is my pre-market newsfeed, and I actually got this from Benzinga's Pro YouTube channel just because I find it very useful. I believe I did add some tweaks. I'm not too sure. I don't really remember if I did, but this is basically how it looks on the daily basis. So on the top left hand, you have basically a scanner that's showing you what's moving. You can filter it to gainers and losers. Gainers, or specifically just losers, pre-market session, regular session, after hours, and you could put it for a period of time. I usually leave it under session, pre-market, and gainers. Market cap, I don't really change that. Price, I don't really change that. Sector, I leave it with all sectors, and I have it on auto refresh, so it's constantly refreshing on its own. Now there's two things that I do. First, I look to see what's moving the most pre-market. As you can see today, the one that was moving the most pre-market was KRYS. Now you may ask yourself, why is it that they're up 130% for the pre-market session? That's easy. Most of the time when you click on the ticker, you're going to get an extra newsfeed that's going to show you the basics, the fundamentals of it, right? Just like a little overview of the stock. And it shows you potentially why it's moving. So today, shares are trading higher after the company announced its GEM-3 trial met its primary endpoint. Now, if you're someone that's looking into getting into analyzing news, this is pretty essential to you, because based on why you see that the stock is moving, it may give you enough conviction to add it onto your watch list and look to play it, right? So this is a pretty cool feature that if you see something that's moving, most of the time you can click on the ticker and it's going to give you a brief overview of the company's fundamentals along with why it's moving today. After I sort it by the biggest mover pre-market, I like to sort it by the most volume, because I like trading stocks that have 1 million in volume plus. Once you sort it by volume, you can see what stocks have the most volume pre-market. You're going to have NAKD as the first one, NRXP as the second one, PTPI as the third one. Obviously, you can go through each of one of these individually and see why it's moving. A perfect example of why it's always good to analyze news before the market opens is because if you take a look on Twitter, you can see that it was actually up quite a decent amount in terms of percentage today during the pre-market. I believe it was 10%. There was not really anything to justify the move to the upside aside from the market being up. The only news that I did see was that the CEO was stepping down. And I've had quite a few people tell me, hey, check Twitter, it's up 10%, the CEO is stepping down. And since I've been getting into analyzing news, I tell them, how does the Twitter CEO stepping down make Twitter go up 10%? That's not enough of a bullish catalyst to justify the price action on the stock, which is why I decided not to take a position on Twitter, which saved me actually, because for the rest of the day, Twitter actually went down. That's just something I like checking during the pre-market session. If you take a look at the bottom left, I basically have stocks that either have price spikes, opening gaps that are hitting their session high or their session low. It's just kind of a bit of a run through of what's going on. If I see any popular name, I may pay a bit of attention to it, but if it's a random ticker, I don't really pay much attention. This is basically a newsfeed that's going to be filtered by Benzinga signals, Benzinga wire, and also after hour center, markets, which is going to show you futures, and pre-market outlook, which is going to give you like a brief overview of the market and why it's moving, right? So for today, there was quite a bit of things going on. It even shows you the economic data that's scheduled. It shows you what earnings are scheduled for today. It shows you 5 stocks that they believe you should be watching. For example, MRNA was one of those. It shows you the 56 biggest movers from Friday, which is usually the movers from the previous trading day. This is one of my favorites because I get to see if I missed out on any stocks on the previous trading day. And if the news is bullish enough, I will be looking to integrate it onto my watch list and potentially trade it. So basically, I go all over this. I see what's going on during the pre-market session, see what's moving during the pre-market, see how the global markets closed, and I go through this one by one. And I don't really pay much attention to this until I see a stock that has a bullish enough catalyst or a bearish enough catalyst. I did see a couple of comments saying that the new COVID variant wasn't too much of an issue, which gave me a bit of conviction to the upside, which is why I went bullish on SPY and went bearish on VIX. But aside from that, nothing too crazy happened today. There are better days when there's more onto this newsfeed and more bullish catalyst on a stock, which means news that actually matters. Not every news is going to be significant enough for me to pay attention to that stock. Last week, I did not trade much, and I don't regret it, but there was a couple of things that I missed. If you were to have had this software and you were on it and you were checking this newsfeed, you would have been able to catch a really, really great trade. So from November 19th of 2021, 54 biggest movers from yesterday, which would be the trading day before November 19th, you're going to have the top stock for that day. You're going to see that LGVN shares climbed 135% to close at $6.87 on Thursday. So pay attention to the keywords here. FDA is a keyword, granted is another keyword, rare is another keyword. When you have FDA granted rare in whatever headline, that's bullish enough for me to add it onto my watch list, because as we all know, when the FDA grants something or approves something, usually reflected on the price action on that stock, it's a really parabolic move to the upside. Now pay attention to this. This stock ran 135%. And most will say, hey, it already ran too much. It basically doubled a price. I'm not going to trade it because at this point I will be chasing. But when you have keywords such as FDA granted rare, this is bullish enough to have multiple continuation days, which I will be showing you in a bit. So as we saw in that headline of November 19th, LGVN being granted something for a rare disease, you can see that we would have paid attention to this headline on the 19th, right? Which on the previous day, it closed above like 135%. And you can see that even after you would have read that initial headline, the stock still went from around the $10 to $15 area all the way up to 45, right? That's just something you would have been able to catch with just reading that headline and understanding the bullish conviction behind a catalyst like that, which Benzinga does a really good job of giving that to you. But your job is to be able to identify if that news actually matters. The more you use the software, the more familiar you get with news that actually matters and news that doesn't actually matters. If you're trading a stock with news, you have more conviction and you're less likely to get pulled out of your position, right? So that's just showing you the crazy move that LGVN had. I did see a couple of people trade it. I unfortunately was one of those people that did not trade it because I didn't trade much last week. I didn't really look much into Benzinga Pro. But you can basically see here on the bottom left-hand corner how, it's trading pretty flat, not much movement. All of a sudden, that news starts to come out and we see volume increase throughout those moves, and it's respecting pretty much the pivots, so it's a nice stock to add to the watch list to potentially play, right? That's just one of the many things that you can get out of Benzinga Pro. That's basically how I find stocks to trade intraday. I take a look at what stocks are moving and what stocks have actual news that matters. Now, when I hop onto my main news feed, this is basically what I see after the pre-market session. Top left-hand side, I have a news feed, which my only source is Benzinga Wire. It's unfiltered, so everything comes in through here. I have desktop notifications, so when I'm not looking at this section, I get a notification on the bottom right of my computer. The bottom left has the source Benzinga Wire, and it has 3 categories. exclusive, hot, and market moving exclusives. From here, you'll see anything that relates to earnings call, beat revenue, if they raise guidance, etc., or just any news that would be considered hot or market moving exclusive. I always like to have this one on because I like to know what's going on. And I don't like to have this one filtered because I like to see everything that's coming in. And on the right hand side, it's basically going to be the same thing, a brief overview of the stock that I'm looking at. So for example, if there's a stock such as Apple, I click on the ticker and this one updates to Apple's fundamentals, any news that it's been getting, and you can filter strictly to either overview, news, calendar, chart, financials, peers, insiders, which would be any, like selling and buying, and then any key data. So this is what my newsfeed will look like after I take a look at the pre-market session. Now, the third thing that I use every once in a while is a relative volume scanner. This is basically filtered to show me stocks that are above $2, that are mid cap to mega cap, that has volume over 1 million, that's up 5%, and that has relative volume over 2. Basically, this is showing me pretty liquid stocks that's showing relative strength in comparison to the overall market. Relative volume is something that I always integrate into my scanners whenever I can, whenever it makes sense, because it helps me identify those stocks that do have strength. Now, I used to have it over 3, but I feel like going over 3 sometimes is a bit overboard and I don't get as many stocks here. So I leave it at 2. So anything with relative volume 2 or greater is gonna come out within this scanner. I always sort it by volume to see which one has the most volume. The only thing about this is that it does not refresh automatically. You have to press this refresh button, which can be a bit of an issue if you're looking to take a quick glance, which is why I also personally set up my Intraday Move scanner. Pretty much the same concept. You're going to be able to see what I have on. So this is just showing you what type of stocks come out. As you can see, you have common, ETFs, and ADR. Volume, any stock that has 1 million in volume or up. Change percentage, this is a bit changed from the previous scanner. So basically, this is going to show me stocks that have moved 0.50% in the past minute. This helps me catch the price action before the news comes out sometimes. Not all the times, because there's a lot of stocks that are moving like this. Change percentage from previous close. Obviously, the stock has to, be a big green in comparison to the previous close. So that's how that's filtered. Market cap is going to be any stock that falls within the mid to mega cap, and relative volume is going to be 2 or greater. So this is actually updating in real time. I turn on notifications for this. So whenever I'm looking at my main newsfeed, I'm going to get a notification on the bottom right corner that's going to show me what's moving during the intraday session. Now, there's many more things that you can, use within the software, but this is just the main things that I do use. But before I do forget, Squawk Box is something I always have on. The reason I have Squawk Box always on is because think about it as someone announcing to you fast breaking news and unusual flow that's coming in. Sometimes when you're trading, you're not focused on going through Twitter, reading news that's coming out. You're not focused on searching up articles. You're just too focused on trading, paying attention to your screen, and all you're thinking about is your entry and your exit. The cool thing about having someone announcing this type of news and this type of flow to you is that you can continue being concentrated with your trading while at the same time hearing things that may help you with your trading for that day. For example, they may announce unusual sweeps coming in for AMC. And there has been times where they announce this and contracts go from literally $50 to over $500. There are times where Powell starts speaking and he starts talking about rates. And if you have the Feds talking about rates, we may see some volatility in the markets, just for you to be aware of what's going on so you can secure your positions. There's way much more to this than what I showed you, but this is typically what I look at and what I focus it and how I personally use it. Again, if you want to take advantage of their Cyber Monday sale, it starts today, it ends tomorrow. The link in the description. and use code GRATEFUL35 at checkout in order to receive the discount of either 35% off their monthly essential package or 50% off their annual essential package. If you do happen to sign up for Benzinga Pro and you want to get more into detail of how to use it or how to accommodate it for your personal trading needs, make sure to join our Discord server, which will also be linked below. Open a ticket, ask for me, and I'll personally go and voice chat with you and help you set it up to fit your trading needs, because there's some people that strictly focus in tech. There's other people that completely focus on FDA news. There's other people that strictly focuses on a specific sector. If you'd like to try it out and you'd like to get more into detail with it, sign up, join our Discord server, open a ticket, ask for me, and I'll go over it. But yeah, I hope you guys do take advantage of this, since it is one of their best sales throughout the year. And thank you guys for taking time out of your day to watch this video. Good luck with tomorrow's trading day.